Hello everyone, this is a very different video for me. I don't think I've ever made a long video discussing such a heavy topic, but I do feel like it's completely necessary, especially for me as someone who has a platform. I mean, although it's a very small platform compared to larger influencers, but still, I am a Mexican American content creator. And I feel like I have a responsibility to convey this message to those in my community, especially in the Mexican, Latino, Latinx community, because so often, especially right now, I feel like the default excuse for many Mexicans, many Latinos, Latinx is that I can't be racist because I'm Mexican. I can't be racist because I'm Latina. Can't be racist because I'm Latinx. And that simply is not true. Anyone can be racist. And I feel like in the Latin American countries, racism has been ingrained in our brains so much so that we can no longer distinguish those racist thoughts. They just become part of the norm. And it's even simple comments that you hear from family members or friends or acquaintances that can be harmful and racist. Things such as, seeing a white baby or white child and telling that child that they're beautiful. And then, you're not telling the same thing to a child that has, a tan or black complexion. That's harmful. And I feel like most of the time in our culture, we pass those things off as harmless jokes. Estamos bromeando. Like, it's no big deal. But it's not a big deal to those who have privilege. It is a big deal to those who have been oppressed. And we can no longer deny the amount of racism, colorism, and discrimination that is present in our everyday lives in our community. We can no longer deny it. I feel we have to reflect on our past, reflect on the way we were raised, and some of the things that, we casually say that carry a lot more harm than we think. I know the way I was raised, obviously I'm wearing the shirt. I was raised in Tijuana, lived there for 10 years. And I mean, for the last 20 years, this will be my 20th year actually, I've been living across the border in San Diego. So I've been a border girl my whole life. I don't know life outside of the border. The only time I've ever lived for a small period of time outside of this bubble has been when I studied abroad in Paris. That was exposed to so many more cultures and political views and, just outlooks that, I got challenged a lot during that one school year. I was there for 11 months. Oh my God, sorry for this hair. It's kind of bothering me. But yeah, I was there for 11 months and my views were challenged like they were never challenged before. I remember, being challenged about my racist views, about abortion, other, controversial, heavy topics. And there were a few times I got so frustrated reflecting on my views and my past that I would start crying out of frustration. But looking back, those difficult and uncomfortable moments made me open my eyes and my mind and caused me to reflect. And that's one of the things that I really, really want to emphasize to our community. We need to take the time to reflect and realize that we are part of the problem, especially us with privilege. And many Latinos are privileged. Yes, we have our own, we have been oppressed as well. especially darker skinned Latinos. We have been discriminated, we have been bullied, we have heard a lot of racist remarks, even myself, because I had never experienced any type of bullying or racist comments until I moved to San Diego. I've been told that I should speak English because I'm in America. I've been told to go back to my country despite the fact that I'm an American citizen. But yeah, it has happened, and I don't want to discredit that because I know our community has struggles, but our community also has a lot of privilege that we need to acknowledge, and we need to be the ones empowering and amplifying not only our, Afro-Latino communities, but also Black communities around the world. We have that responsibility. And we're not off topic, but like I was previously mentioning, I grew up in the border. My first 10 years were spent in Tijuana. So I went to a very conservative Catholic school, and I was basically taught to idolize our Spanish, colonizers. My school was named after a Spanish queen. Every single year we would perform and celebrate Christopher Columbus like if he was a god. And it wasn't until, I was probably in middle school here in San Diego that I realized who Christopher Columbus really was, and all the harm that he did, and all the harm that all the colonizers did. Because in my brain was ingrained the fact that Mexico would not be the country that it is if it wasn't for the Spanish colonizers. So it takes a while. Even that moment, it took a while for me to open my eyes, accept, and come to the realization that colonizers were not good. They're not a group of people that are meant to be celebrated and worshipped. And it's things like those, and things like I mentioned before about my political views and human rights views being challenged, that has led me to become the person that I am today. I have not been this liberal, Black Lives Matter, pro-choice person my whole life. I mean, it couldn't be further from that. I feel like people that have known me since I was a teenager, a kid, know how conservative my views used to be. And it was just passed on from generations to generations. Never really questioned it. I thought that was the way that I needed to be. And like I mentioned, it's taken a lot of self-reflection, a lot of challenging my own views and having other people challenge them, and being exposed to different cultures, people with different views, that has led me to this evolution of acceptance, of knowledge. And it can happen to anyone. You just have to be open-minded, and you have to be looking for those questions and answers beyond your group of people and beyond your comfort zone. I've been getting asked a lot, how do I tackle this issue? How do I present it to my parents, my grandparents? It is a very difficult subject to bring on, to our family members and friends, our loved ones. But I feel like one of the most important things is to have them realize that this level of injustice has been going on for not a week. It's been going on for years. The civil rights movement didn't happen 100, 200 years ago. It happened within the lifespan of most of our parents. They were alive when everything was taking place, for the most part, unless they're obviously very young parents. But I think putting these issues and the timeline in a much more feasible way helps them realize that this has been going on for way too long. Another issue that has been brought up to my attention many times is that I think I mentioned it previously. I always get asked, like, what about us? Where's the outrage when they're killing undocumented immigrants or, putting children in cages? And there is an outrage. There should be more of an outrage. But I will be completely honest, we haven't been able as a community to mobilize ourselves the way the Black Lives Matter movement has. And it's something that we can learn from them. And I feel like we should learn from them. But also, this movement, yes, it's Black Lives Matter. Because there's no comparison. They've been the most oppressed group. And it can't be a competition. That's another thing, competition. Like, we can't compete on who's the most oppressed group. Because it's been documented that it is the Black community. You can't argue with the stats on how much the incarceration statistics, the murder rates, none of that. You can't argue that. But this movement is for all of us. It's to hold the people in power accountable for the wrongful incarcerations, the wrongful deaths, and just the lack of leadership that we have been seeing for the last few years, decades. And especially in this country. I know it doesn't pertain to every single Latin American country. Every country has their own issues that need to be tackled. And this is a global issue, but it's no surprise, but since Trump took over as president, there has been a severe lack of leadership. He has done nothing but make every minority group a target of white supremacists without any consequences. And not only are there white supremacists and racist people, in life, like they're the everyday people. They can be your neighbor. They can be, your fellow student or coworker. But there's also people in our law enforcement that need to be held accountable. They can no longer be doing all of these things without repercussions, without being jailed or facing justice themselves, no disciplinary actions. And I think once you put everything together, everything that has happened is just, and I feel like Trevor Noah explained it so well, it is a domino effect. This has been building up for so many years, and George Floyd was just, the video was so graphic that I feel like it was the last straw for many of us. I mean, you can't really argue about that video. It's graphic. It gives you basically the whole story. So I feel like for us as Latinos, Latinx, we need to acknowledge our privilege, amplify the voices of our Afro-Latinos and Black communities. We also need to be accepting that our views are going to get challenged, accepting that we need to learn from this mistake. We also need to hold, our racist family members or racist friends accountable for the harmless comments that they throw, because like I said, it may be all like chistes and bromas and harmless fun for them, but those comments do harm someone. So we need to hold them accountable. And we just need to be, we need to be willing to listen to other people. And sometimes that is challenging. I feel like I can speak on behalf of many Latinas, Latinx, that we are very opinionated people. We're very passionate people, but we also need to learn to, sometimes be quiet and just listen. So Yes. I apologize for this video being so rambly. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I know it's a very difficult and complex issue, like I mentioned before, but it is an issue that needs to be talked about, and it needs to be talked about. I won't be posting any beauty related content for the time being. I feel like it just wouldn't be right to ignore what's going on in the world and just pretend that everything's all right when it's not. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for listening if you've stuck around. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon.